I'm Zak Bagans. Tonight I'm standing on a quiet street in a perfect little cul-de-sac where nothing about the houses should scare you. Lawns, mailboxes, porch lights, suburbia doing what suburbs do. But at the end of this row sits a house. People drive by faster than the speed limit. They cross the street when they pass it. They roll their windows up. Because this house, the Whitaker place, answers. Neighbors say it started as something odd. Footsteps matching your own when you walked from kitchen to bedroom, a cough coming out of the walls immediately after you coughed. Then it moved on. It learned to echo. It learned to finish sentences. Last month, someone reported hearing their wife call their name in the middle of the night, except she was asleep across town. An echo is one thing. This is something else. I press the recorder to my chest and walk up the short walkway. The paint is old. The porch boards are weathered. But what gets you is how lived in it looks for a place that's supposed to be empty. A child's bicycle lies on its side. A set of muddy boots near the door. The curtain in the front window is drawn as if someone just stepped out a minute ago. My light swings across the entryway. Photographs line the hallway, birthday smiles frozen in time. A calendar on the fridge still has last June crossed out in permanent marker. The house carries a memory like a coat. It hugs close. It smells faintly of soap and coffee. Before we step inside, I mark the address, timestamp on the recorder. This is standard. Evidence has to be more than a feeling. I push the front door open. The first thing that reaches me is the sound. A soft, almost embarrassed mirroring. Not an echo of my voice, but a repeat of the sound my boots make on the threshold, the exact rhythm, the same pressure. It comes from inside the walls. The house answered before I even introduced myself. Zak Bagans, Ghost Adventures, Entry 1. I say it into the recorder like a prayer and a test. The house says in the stale hush, Zak Bagans, Entry 1. It's not a perfect mimic. The syllables come out with a slight delay and a gentle smear, like a phonograph playing underwater. But the effect is immediate hair rises up the back of my neck the way the body says, pay attention. Naomi catches my shoulder. She's already running baseline instruments, a tri-field meter, thermal stills, audio recorders. Elias sweeps the room quietly with a camera. The seams of us spread through the living room like professionals, but there's a human response under the training. We all felt it a thing, not only reflecting, but listening. We do a sweep. We call it baseline, quiet, meticulous, no theatrics. We ask questions and wait. We set little sound triggers, a clock set to chime, a short burst from a radio, a hand clap. The house answers, always a beat behind. Clap, clap, inside the wall. Clap, clap, clap. But then it goes beyond repetition. The third clap, the one from the wall, is slightly off time, as if it's learning rhythm. The voice of the radio that says news at 5 becomes a whisper in the corner saying 5. At 10 minutes in, we try something small. Naomi hums a few bars of an old lullaby. She's careful, slow, low, simple stuff, safe. The house returns the hum, richer, a little more ornamented. It adds a melodic turn Naomi didn't hum, like a student trying to make the tune their own. The meter spikes. The cameras pick up subsonic vibrations that are not room noise. Waveforms bloom like flowers. That's when the first name happens. A soft, private voice from inside the wall says, Maggie. Naomi freezes. Her face goes flat. Her brother's name is Maggie. Except Maggie, her daughter, is in bed across town tonight. Naomi hadn't said the name out loud. Not here. We all heard it. The house did not echo what was said. It spoke first. My stomach tightens. We're not dealing with mimicry. We're dealing with learning. I move through the house. Rooms are staged in a kind of arrested life. A sippy cup by the sink, a homework sheet with a child's scrawl on the kitchen table, a coat draped like someone left mid-motion. The literary part of me. Catalogs, objects that anchor memory. The hunter in me looks for entree points. Wiring, HVAC ducts, anything that lets a presence ride the architecture. One thing knocks me flat. The family portrait over the mantel. 4 faces, man, woman, boy, girl, frozen teeth, and smiles. Whoever defaced the portrait took care to smoothen the brushstrokes around the mother's mouth, like someone trying to hide a smile. But along the bottom edge, written in a child's messy black marker, are the words, "Do not answer." Everything in this house is a plea, a warning, a memory. We continue methodically. We run EVP sessions. Question, silence, listen. The silence here is not empty. It's vivid, like an ocean waiting to be spoken into. And those moments of silence are when it gathers itself. In the recording, you can hear the living air pull, the barometric whisper of something collecting breath through plaster and pipes. We ask the simple things. Who is here? Whose voice returns is not human, but manufactured a composite. It's my voice with someone else's under it. It's the boy's laugh with the wrong vowel. It says, "We're home." We all hold on to our composure, but the words get under your skin in a way facts cannot explain. What truly changes the tenor of the investigation is not a noise or a spike. It's getting a response that knows us. A breath against the back of my neck followed by a whisper, "You came back." It's hard to describe that moment without understating it. A lot of hauntings repeat the past. This one invites you into it. The house doesn't want merely to reflect. It wants relationship. It will answer with the voice of the person you love to make you move toward it. We know the map here. Attention feeds. An entity that forms by mimicry needs exposure. The more you give it voices, the more it builds vocabulary. This is dangerous in a way most people don't appreciate because we are social animals. We hear a voice we know and our motor patterns pull us towards safety. This house weaponizes that instinct. At the center of the living room, we set a small trigger. My phone, set to play a voicemail from 5 years ago, my father telling me, "Be careful, Zach. It will be a short clip, nothing more." We want to watch how does it handle personal audio. We play the clip. My father's rough laugh fills the room for 2 seconds, and then the speakers die. Silence. Then, from the wall across the room, the same laugh comes back, reflected only slower, as though dragged through wet fabric. The laugh falters, and then swells into a sentence the recording never contained. He didn't listen. The house has learned to not only repeat, but to append. It completes the sentence you were going to say, then it goes further. It offers judgments. It tries to shape your history. That is when I realize we are not the only audience. The house is practicing in private, and when it feels confident enough, it speaks first. Tonight, it spoke my name and Naomi's, and then offered me an accusation. I don't run. I don't want to run. That would hand the house a victory. Fear. We keep working, we document, and we keep our faces neutral, our voices measured. We ask it hard questions we don't want answers to, and then we listen for the ways it will bend those answers into something that's not truth but plausibility. The night thins. At 2 a.m, a new thing happens. The house teaches itself to imitate not just voices but actions. A slow, fake footstep from the hall, then the creak of the stair matching it precisely. The camera catches a pattern on the wall, a shadow that should have a source but doesn't. It practices moving a shadow like a puppet. It practices reaching into the spaces voices make. I set up to leave, and the front door shuts on its own. Not slammed eased, polite even. The house is protecting something or hiding something. As I put my hand on the knob, a voice that is almost human says, soft and coaxing, "Stay." We stay. That's what investigators do. We stay and gather because the evidence is not in the scare, it's in the record. Before we leave for the night, I pull every recorder and camera for playback. On one clip, not loud in the room, but fat with low frequency, you can hear a phrase that wasn't there when we spoke. Teach us what love sounds like. It's not a threat, it's an ask, and that terrifies me. We came to document a house that answered back. We found a house that is learning to speak first. It learns by mirror and by voice, and then intentionally it begins to shape the world by imitation. It learns what makes us come, what makes us forgive, what makes us stay. Tonight it tried one of those things on for size, a name. It will not be the last. We lock up, but the house does not sleep. The recorder is still in my pocket. I play the last file on repeat, as we leave the property, soft, quiet, a thing that sounds like curiosity and hunger tangled in one syllable. Tomorrow we go deeper. The next day, the air feels heavier before we even pull into the driveway. I've been to hundreds of haunted locations in my life. Old prisons, cursed basements, hospitals that haven't seen daylight in decades. But this feels different. This house thinks. That's not paranoia. That's the reality of what we witnessed last night. As I step out of the van, the quiet gnaws at the edges of my nerves. The house looks unchanged, but I feel watched. Not by something standing in the window, but something inside the walls, listening. Before we enter, I take a breath and say it out loud into the recorder. Night 2 at the Whitaker residence. The house engaged with us yesterday. Today, we're here to find out how far it can go and what it wants. The words feel small and fragile compared to the sense of presence pressing from the property. We cross the porch slowly. The moment I turn the front door handle, the house answers with a soft, dragging echo, a whisper from inside the wall, perfectly mimicking the sound of the metal turning. The house is already awake. Inside, the air has changed. The warmth from yesterday is gone. Now it's colder, drier, like a place left uninhabited for months instead of hours. I don't want to acknowledge it yet, but something in this house is trying to match our rhythm to anticipate us. Elias starts setting baseline cameras again. Naomi pulls out the tri-field. I walk straight to the living room and stand under the family portrait again. The words, "Do not answer," look darker today, or maybe I'm just looking harder. "Zak," Naomi says quietly, "listen." At first it's nothing, just the creak of old wood, the hum of the refrigerator. But then faint another sound, a slow breath, a human breath, not an echo. A draw of air coming from behind the far wall. It's watching us. "Hello?" I say. "If you're here, we're listening." A whisper answers, "Listening." It's not mocking. It's repeating the word like it's learning the shape of it. The tri-field spikes from 0 to 2.7. Elias swings the camera toward the hallway. "Zak," he says. Movement. In the frame, shadows shrink and stretch like someone is pacing behind the drywall. We gather near the stairs. The basement door's cracked open today, even though I remember shutting it yesterday. I stare at it, at the darkness inside. I'm not ready for the basement. Not yet. First, we need to test the house upstairs. We climb to the second floor. Each step creaks, and each creak is returned by a fainter one behind the wall, like an invisible presence climbing with us. When we reach the landing, the air thickens. There's a smell too, dust and old fabric, a closet that hasn't been opened for years. The master bedroom door is half open. We step inside slowly. The room feels untouched, like a museum display of a life frozen in place. The bedspread is perfectly smoothed. A book sits open on the nightstand, a bookmark tucked between the pages. A sweater is draped over the chair in the corner. None of it looks disturbed. But the mirror above the dresser, it's wrong. A thin fog swirls across the glass surface even though the room is dry and still. And the fog shifts upward, against gravity, collecting in the top left corner. "Thermal is dropping," Naomi says, watching her display, "by 6 degrees. Then the whisper comes again. This time it's not a repeat, it's direct. "Don't leave." The three of us go still. I feel it between my ribs. The voice wasn't angry or hostile. It was pleading, emotional, like a child afraid of being alone. "Did you die here?" I ask. We wait. A long silence. Then the closet door behind us creaks open on its own. Elias spins with the camera. The closet is dark, empty. Then thump. Something inside the walls knocks twice, hard. We move fast. I reach the closet. I push the hanging clothes aside. Nothing, no crawl space, no door, just old wallpaper and drywall. So how did something knock? I put my palm on the wall. It knocks back. 3 slow taps. Deliberate. Elias's camera catches a faint vibration in the wall at the exact moment of the knocks, like something inside is trying to communicate through the structure. I pull my hand away. The moment I do, the house whispers, Zak, not mirrored, not delayed, perfect, purposeful. Okay, I say quietly, you know my name. The lights flicker twice and the whisper answers, say mine. A wave of cold hits us. Not air conditioning cold, not environmental cold, emotional cold, like grief. Give us your name, I say. The house replies with a sound like someone choking back words. A half-formed syllable, then it stutters into silence. It's learning, but it has limits. Naomi presses her hand to her chest. Zak, I'm hearing something. What? End quote. Not from the house, from the recorder. She rewinds, presses play. A whisper spills out, layered under my voice, recording. I didn't want to stay here. My skin tightens. Who didn't want to stay? I ask out loud, speaking to the room. A soft, trembling voice answers from inside the drywall. Maggie. Naomi flinches. She covers her mouth. She turns to me, and I see her eyes shine with tears. Zak, she whispers, that's my daughter's name. The house should not know that. Not unless something dug into her memories or learned her through last night's emotional reaction. I step back. Why did you say that name? I ask sharply. The answer comes instantly. She cried, here. I feel a pressure in the room now, a sadness heavy enough to bend the floorboards. The air carries the weight of someone who lived in fear, someone who didn't leave willingly. Then the house adds quietly. She asked me to remember. The lights flicker. Elias whispers, Zak, the house is showing grief. I nod. This is no longer mimicry. We're dealing with an entity that has emotional memory. Something trapped in this home, looping, suffering so deep, the walls themselves learn the shape of it. A floorboard pops behind us. We turn. The bedroom door, which we left open, is closing slowly. Not from a draft. Someone unseen is pushing it shut. It clicks into place. And then the house says, with a voice that is not echo, not copy, but self-created, you closed the basement once, you shouldn't have. The temperature drops again. All equipment spikes. We stare at each other. The house isn't just reflecting, it's warning. And whatever is in that basement remembers exactly what happened here. Tomorrow we go down. I didn't sleep last night. None of us did. Because no matter how far we drove from the house, no matter how many turns separated us from that street, the recorder played something new at 3:11 A. A whisper, soft, slow, dragged. Come back, downstairs. That message wasn't there when we left the house, which means the entity is still trying to communicate with us even when we're miles away. Something in that basement wants us. This morning, as I stand at the top of the old wooden steps leading into the dark, I can feel the house holding its breath. The basement door, now fully open, yawns into a black drop of cold air so cold it burns. All right, I say quietly, my voice steady but my heart pounding. We're going down. The house whispers back, almost lovingly. Down. Naomi switches on her flashlight. Elias checks his gear. I grip the handrail and start walking. Each step creaks, and the walls answer in delayed, almost mocking creaks. The echoing sound doesn't come from below, but from everywhere around us, as if the house is crawling down the stairs with us on all sides. The deeper I go, the colder it becomes. Basement cold is normally damp, moldy. This cold is different. Dry, thin, like the air is being pulled somewhere else, leaving us only scraps. At the bottom of the stairs, the beam of my flashlight hits concrete flooring covered in dust except for one thing. Footprints, small ones. A child's. You don't fake that kind of shiver. It goes straight through me, as if the house itself reached out and touched my spine. Zak, Naomi whispers. Look at the wall. On the far wall, etched in chalk, or something that looks like chalk, are words, I'm still here. A line trails beneath the writing, like a little hand dragged the chalk until it slipped from their fingers. I move closer to the wall, recorder out. Who wrote this? A breath answers from inside the cement like lungs inside stone. I did. The voice is faint, like a little girl speaking through fabric. Maggie? Naomi asks before she can stop herself. Silence. Then the chalk on the floor, untouched, unmoved, rolls an inch. Then another, then stops directly in front of my boot. The house didn't echo that. It acted. Something is down here, and it wants us to know it's awake. We spread out, slowly, sweeping lights across the basement. The room is mostly empty, except for a workbench against the far wall, old paint cans, dusty tools, a broken chair. And carved into the wood of the bench are deeper markings. Older, angry. Don't let him in. Stop answering. The house listens. There must be over a dozen frantic messages carved in different depths and directions, each one like someone's last attempt to warn whoever came next. Elias shines his camera light on a small wooden hatch in the corner of the basement floor. At first it looks like a storage compartment, but when we get closer, it's colder around the hatch than anywhere else in the basement. Zak, he whispers, feel this. I put my hand near the wood. It feels like ice. Is this a crawl space? Naomi asks. I kneel and grip the small metal ring attached to the hatch. The second my fingers touch the metal, the house speaks. Not whispers, not mimicry. A voice forces itself out of the wall behind us in a distorted scream. Don't open it. Naomi staggers back, nearly tripping over a paint can. Elias curses under his breath. I freeze, my hand inches from the latch. That wasn't fear in the voice. It was desperation. Why? I demand. What's under this hatch? What's down here with us? A soft child's voice answers, trembling. He never left. A wave of cold sweeps across the basement. The light bulb above us flickers and blows out, leaving the room lit only by our flashlights. Then the footsteps start. Not ours. Not echoed. Real. Slow steps moving across the concrete behind the workbench. Heavy. Adult. Dragging one foot like a limp. Elias swings the camera. There's nothing there, he says, breath shaking. But the footsteps continue. Slow. Patient. Waiting. I pull out the EMF. It spikes to 6.3, then 7.1, then flatlines at 8. Something's manifesting, I whisper. Naomi nods, her hands trembling around her equipment. It's not the girl. This feels older. The footsteps stop. Silence falls. And then, behind us, right beside the hatch, the wood knocks. 4 slow taps. Tap, 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 tap. Knocking to get out, or knocking for us to let it out. I step back from the hatch, heart slamming in my chest. The house breathes a deep, circular sound, pressing up through the structure like something massive is inhaling beneath the foundation. Did the family open this hatch? I ask out loud. Is that why they disappeared? The child's voice whispers, yes. Naomi swallows hard. Zak, listen. We all go silent. From under the floor, beneath the hatch, a low, dragging voice says, I'm still hungry. It's layered, wet, like someone speaking through soil. The entity isn't mimicking anymore. This voice is its own. I kneel closer to the hatch, following pure investigative instinct. The closer I get, the more I feel it. A pulse of energy coming upward, rhythmic, timed perfectly with breathing. This thing is alive in a way most hauntings aren't. Were you trapped down there? I ask. Silence. Then something presses up against the underside of the wood. The hatch lifts a fraction of an inch and slams back down. Naomi screams. Elias jumps back. I force my breath to steady. The entity tries again. The hatch lifts 2 inches this time, then slams harder. Dust cascades from the ceiling. Something underneath is pushing up. Maggie. Naomi breathes. Did it hurt you? The little voice answers immediately, terrified. He listens. Don't make him angry. The footsteps behind the workbench start again faster now, pacing, agitated. Whatever is down here heard the conversation. The EMF spikes. The air pressure drops hard enough to make our ears pop. Elias grabs his camera with both hands. "Zak," he stammers, "we need to leave this basement now." He's right. Something is building something big. I take one last look at the hatch. The metal ring twists on its own. We run. We bolt up the basement stairs as the house exhales a single word behind us, a word that vibrates the entire structure. Open. We slam the basement door shut. My heart is pounding so hard it feels like it might tear through my chest. But the house doesn't stop. Behind the door, the footsteps climb the stairs. One by one, then a whisper slides through the crack under the door. "You shouldn't have come back. We're not done. Not even close. Tomorrow, we open the hatch." I didn't want to return. I'll admit that. Last night, after the hatch slammed, after the footsteps climbed the stairs behind us, after the entity whispered, "You shouldn't have come back," every part of me said, "Leave this house forever." But that's not why we're here. If something beneath this home is intelligent, if it's mimicking, manipulating, learning, then we need to understand it, document it, expose it. So when I step back into the Whitaker house on night 3, I feel the familiar weight of fear, but I force it down. I breathe through it. I focus on the goal. The moment we open the front door, the house answers with a single whispered word, "Welcome." It sounds more confident now, as if the house was practicing while we were gone. Naomi grips her recorder tighter. Elias keeps scanning the hall with his light. "Zak," Naomi whispers, eyes wide. "Look." The child's chalk message on the basement wall, "I'm still here," is now written on the living room floorboards in long, shaky strokes. The chalk must have been dragged up from the basement, or someone carried it. I kneel and run the camera over the writing. "This wasn't here yesterday," I say quietly. The house breathes in response, a slow, hollow inhale that makes the lights hum. Elias swallows hard. "It wants us downstairs." "It's waiting," Naomi says. And it is. We form up and move to the basement door. It's wide open tonight. The darkness inside feels deeper, thicker, almost alive. The steps are shrouded in black. I move first. The wooden stairs groan under my boots, and the walls echo the sound exactly. Not delayed, not imperfect. Perfect. Synchronized. It learned the timing. At the bottom of the stairs, the air hits me like a blast from a freezer, sharp, metallic, biting. In the hatch is already unlocked. The metal ring stands upright, like a beckoning finger. "Don't touch it," Naomi warns. Something whispers back from the far corner. "Touch it." The voice is wrong, not the child's, not the house's mimicry. Deeper, a man's voice, stretched like old leather. "Maggie," I say into the recorder, "are you here with us?" A faint answer comes from inside the wall. "I'm hiding." "From who?" "The man under the floor." Naomi steps closer to me, her voice trembling. "The house wasn't mimicking a child. The child is real, or was real." I nod. "And the man?" We all go silent. The hatch vibrates. A slow, rhythmic tapping comes from underneath. Tap, tap, tap. Then a pause. Then a longer, dragging scrape. Something down there is moving. The EMF spikes 8.2, then 9.1, then flat at 10. Naomi's hair lifts with static as energy floods the basement. Elias's camera distorts. I kneel by the hatch. "Who are you?" I ask firmly. The answer rises from beneath us in a wet, rattling voice. "Forgotten." The floor vibrates. "I was here first," the voice growls. "Before them, before you." A pressure builds behind my eyes, like someone gripping the sides of my head. My breath comes shallow. I brace one hand on the floor. "What happened to the Whitaker family?" I ask. Silence. Then the child's voice returns, terrified. "Urgent." He made us answer him. He made us talk back until he learned our voices. Naomi's eyes fill with tears. "Zak, The family didn't disappear. They were consumed. The lights flicker violently. Elias whispers, "Zak, something is wrong with the footage." He shows me the display. The camera is picking up the faint outline of a tall figure crouched beneath the floor, a skeletal shape with elongated limbs moving in the darkness just below us. It's pacing, waiting. "Open," the voice hisses. "Let me breathe." The hatch begins to lift. No one is touching it. The wood rises 3 inches. A blast of freezing air bursts out, carrying the smell of dirt and rot. I slam my hand onto the hatch, holding it down with all my weight. "Naomi, salt," I yell. She scatters a line of salt around the hatch's edge. Elias holds the camera steady, even though his hands are shaking violently. The entity slams upward again. The hatch jumps under my palm. A growl shakes the basement. "You kept me down here now. I learned your names." The house begins to shake. Dust rains from the ceiling. Tools rattle on the workbench. The child's voice screams from the wall. "Don't let him out." The man's voice roars beneath me. "Let me up. Let me en, sir." I press down harder, teeth clenched. "Zak," Naomi shouts, "get back." But something happens. The entity pulls back, not because of the salt, not because of us, because something else in the house speaks. A new voice, a woman's voice, soft and firm. "Stop." Everything freezes. The shaking stops. The air stills. The hatch goes silent under my hand. Naomi whispers, "Who was that?" I look toward the workbench. A cold breeze passes behind me. Dust lifts from the floorboards. The house whispers in a soft, mournful tone. She wouldn't let him hurt them again. Another breeze, like fingers brushing past my shoulder. "She held him here," the house says. "She sealed him in the dark." The Whitaker mother. She protected her children from this thing by locking it beneath the house. And the house, the structure itself, learned to keep him trapped, learned to speak to, warn others. But the entity grew stronger. And now, with us here, with our voices filling the home, it learned enough to try again. The basement lights flicker back on. The hatch stops vibrating. The cold fades slowly, reluctantly. Naomi helps me to my feet. Elias backs away from the circle of salt. We step toward the stairs. Before we go, I turn back and speak into the recorder. "To the spirit that warned us, thank you." A soft breath answers. Then the child whispers, "You'll leave now, right?" "Yes," I say, "we're leaving." The man beneath the floor snarls with rage. "Come back." We climb the stairs fast. At the top, the basement door slams shut behind us with a force that rattles the whole house. We stand in the hallway, catching our breath. The house feels lighter. Not safe, never safe, but lighter. As if the mother's presence is holding the man beneath the floor down again. For now, we pack our gar. We step onto the porch. And when I close the front door for the last time, the house whispers one final message behind the wood. "Don't answer him again."